Whenever you think about giving an EV more range, you probably think about something like these Aero wheels that increase efficiency. But man, are they ugly. I mean, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but... And when you think about giving an EV more performance, well, there's not a lot you can do besides removing weight, which we've seen some channels get pretty obsessive about when they're chasing down those quarter-mile times. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. There's a way you can do both at the same time without ruining the looks of your car or tearing up your interior. And the best part, you don't even need to start fasting to lose the extra weight off your belly. Instead, what we're going to do is remove something called unsprung weight, which is attached to components like your wheels, tires, brakes, and suspension. Removing this kind of weight is said to be about 4 times as effective as removing regular sprung weight. Meaning if you were somehow able to remove 50 pounds of this unsprung weight, theoretically it's like removing 200 pounds of regular weight. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, removing unsprung weight can get very expensive when you talk about things like carbon ceramic brakes and lighter suspension components, so instead I'm going to go the easier route and replace my wheels. For reference, I have a Model Y Performance with the stock 21-inch Uber turbine wheels, which together weigh a combined 154 pounds. They are beautiful, but boy are they ever heavy. The stock 19-inch Aero wheels that come on the non-performance models are much lighter at a combined 118 pounds, but I'm not about to put Aero wheels on my car and make it look like every other Model Y, so we're going to go one step further and put on some 18-inch wheels I purchased from T-Sportline that come in at a combined 88 pounds. And yes, these do clear the performance brake calipers, just barely. Some people seem to think smaller wheels are ugly, but I myself prefer some sidewall on my tires, which has even more benefits than we've already gone over that we'll get into a little later. But if you're just talking weight alone, going from 154 pounds down to 88 means we're saving 66 pounds on our wheels. And since this is unsprung weight, it should mean we get the same benefit as removing 264 pounds of sprung weight. Admittedly, there probably is more to it than that if you consider the weight of the tires and all that, but this isn't an engineering explained video, so instead we're going to test it by doing continuous 0 to 60 launches before and after, and we'll also be measuring efficiency over thousands of miles. And you're going to find out why downsizing your wheels could be the best mod you can do to an electric vehicle. Before we get into the results though, I need to tell you about the best mod that you can do for your own body, which is the perfect segue to this video's sponsor. AG1 simplifies your daily nutrition by packing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients into an easy-to-make drink that supports optimal health of the brain, body, and gut. They make it easy to develop a healthy habit that takes less than 1 minute per day. Just add a single scoop to about 8 to 10 ounces of water and shake. Very easy to take on the go, which is extremely beneficial for someone like me who isn't exactly eating the most nutritious of foods every day. It's nice to know that my daily nutrition gaps are being covered. Tastes pretty good too. Kind of like a pineapple vanilla flavor. A single scoop includes multivitamins, multi-minerals, pre- and probiotics, greens, superfoods, stress adaptogens, functional mushrooms, and antioxidants. I've definitely felt an increase in energy since I started including it in my daily routine, and it also seems to help with my ability to focus when working on videos like this, because they do take a while. By using my QR code or the special link in the description, you can get 5 travel packs and a 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 for added micronutrient support that will be included in your welcome kit. And a big thanks to AG1 for sponsoring this video. All right, time to dive into those results. I'm going to start with the 0 to 60 time because I think that's probably what you're most interested in. I used a Dragy that measures 0 to 60 times with GPS, and I'll be doing 5 runs on each set of wheels. The Model Y Performance is advertised doing a 0 to 60 time of 3.5 seconds, but those are in absolute perfect conditions like a drag strip with a prep surface, so let's see what it can do on a normal road. It ran a time of around 3.6 seconds on all 5 runs, with literally less than 1/10 of a second difference between the slowest and quickest times here. Insanely consistent. And on run number 3, it was actually able to get into that 3.5 second range, which was pretty impressive, and yeah, I was pleasantly surprised by these results. 3.62 average. Not bad. Let's see how the lighter wheels compare. Now there's actually a lot to consider here because yes, the wheels are lighter, but the tires themselves aren't as wide as the original wheels, so I wasn't sure what to expect and if I'd have the same amount of traction. Going in, I would have been happy with it getting into the 3.5 second range a little bit more consistently, but then this happened. Not only are we now quicker than the advertised 3.5 second 0 to 60, on the last run we actually got into the low 3.3 second range, which is much closer to a lighter Model 3 performance, and it seemed to be getting quicker with every run. I almost wanted to keep going to see if I could get it even lower, but I wanted to keep these tests as fair as I could. Now, a 0.2 second 0 to 60 time may not sound like very much on paper, but when you have a car that's already as fast as this, it does make a fairly large difference. When you compare the 0 to 60 time of each set of wheels, it turns out to be about a 7% difference, which is something that you can feel when you're sitting inside the car. And best of all, I know that if I pull up next to a stock Model Y Performance, I have the advantage. Now let's talk about the polar opposite of 0 to 60 times, efficiency. Efficiency is obviously crucial for EVs as it influences how far they can go on a single charge. For the first 3,000 miles while I had the stock 21-inch wheels installed, I was averaging a little over 330 watt-hours per mile, which gives me a realistic range of about 245 miles. Now you have to understand, 330 watt-hours per mile is probably a lot more than most Model Y Performance owners are getting, but I just can't keep my foot away from the accelerator pedal. Every time I go out, I floor it at least twice. I mean, what's the point of having it if you don't use it, right? The next 3,000 miles spent with the 18-inch wheels driving in very much the same way in the same conditions was very different. With the unsprung weight reduction, along with the thinner profile of the wheels helping out with aerodynamic drag, I am now averaging 280 watt-hours per mile, giving me a realistic range of 289 miles. That is much closer to a long-range Model Y with aero wheels than it is to a regular performance model. Really impressive stuff. I honestly did not expect it to make this huge of a difference. That's a 16% increase in range, giving me an extra 44 miles per charge. Now, I do realize this wasn't the most scientific of tests, and your mileage may vary, but what I can tell you is that if you're a Model Y Performance owner and you downgrade to smaller wheels that are also lighter, you will notice a huge difference in range. And the good news doesn't end there, because more sidewall on your tires gives you a few other major benefits. The first is that they are way less likely to be damaged going over potholes or by pulling up to a curb. The next time you're at a supercharger, just take a look at all the Uber turbine wheels around and see how much curb damage they have. They are absolute magnets for curb rash because it hits the wheel first and the tire second. The 18s, on the other hand, have a sidewall that extend well past the wheel, meaning you'd have to hit the curb pretty hard for it to get all the way to the rim. This thicker sidewall also helps to dampen bumps on the road by absorbing more of the smaller, often more frequent bumps, which alleviates some of the burden of the car's suspension by taking on part of the impact that would otherwise be directly handled by the suspension. Now, there are a few drawbacks we need to talk about. The first is that since these wheels are more narrow than the standard ones, you have less of a contact patch on the road, which means less lateral grip while cornering. So on a racetrack, the stock wheels and tires are probably the better choice. But I'm not planning on taking my SUV to a racetrack anytime soon, and I personally use straight line speed a lot more than I use the max lateral grip through turns, so that was an easy sacrifice for me to make. Another one is aesthetics. Personally, I've always preferred the look of a thicker sidewall on tires, but after posting pictures on X after I first got these wheels installed, there were a surprising amount of people who basically thought it was a sin to put 18-inch wheels on a Model Y Performance, so that it just looked wrong. So this one's really up to you. But for me, function over form all day.